into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Let's go, everybody. Welcome on in to the AfterBuzz TV After Show for Billions, Season 1, Episode 5, The Good Life. Welcome on in, everybody. It's a great episode to recap this week. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. And I'm joined by one half of the A-Team this week. It's Alina Vission.
Hey, what's up, guys? You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Alina Vission.
And JB Zimmerman.
Hey, you guys can find me at Hey John Blake.
We are missing Andrea Fasano. She's in New York covering Toy Fair 2016, so we miss you, Andy.
We missed you.
You guys can follow her on Twitter at Andy Fasano. But we have a special guest tonight joining us. We're so happy to have him here. Number one, it's his birthday, so he took time out from his birthday to be with us tonight. He's appeared in film, TV, and he currently has the recurring roles of Pastor Tim on The Americans, Gary Stamper on House of Cards, and Dalla Dalla Bill Stern on Billions. It's Kelly AuCoin. Welcome in, Kelly. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. I love your intro music.
Yes, we picked that song out specifically for you, knowing you were coming on tonight.
I feel very welcome.
Yes, so well, I'm glad to hear that. We're glad to have you here. You were the primary focus of tonight's episode. And in talking with you over the past couple of weeks, setting it up, you said, no, I want to come on this date because this episode's going to be a big one for me. And we saw that come to pass. Now, when you just started with the show, you've been in since the pilot. Did you know this was coming, or are you sort of finding out week to week?
I was finding out week to week. I got a sense... we didn't really know about what was going to happen after the pilot, but I started to get a sense that they had something in the works for me, which of course was heartening. But I really had no idea what it was going to be.
Right, and ultimately you are dragged out of the office in handcuffs. And you mentioned something on Twitter that I want to make sure our listeners all know, and I'll just let you repeat it now to all of them.
Oh, yes. So Susy Meisner, who plays Terry, a brilliant actress, I'd spent the whole day trying to figure out why she seemed so familiar to me. I was like, I've just seen her in a lot of things. And apparently she was doing something similar. And it wasn't until she had me in handcuffs. We did that scene where she drags me out about, 7 or 8 times. And maybe the third time we were standing there waiting to be called back. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, are you Sandra Beeman? She's like, are you Pastor Tim? And it was like, I can't say what we said. And in her defense, I have this crazy sort of dazed and confused Matthew McConaughey era wig. The only way we have any similarity, we're like each other. But I had that wig on in The Americans, so there's no way she would recognize the bald guy. But she just completely transformed herself. She's so good. I hope you all have seen The Americans because it's a wonderful show. But she is completely unrecognizable. She looks exactly the same physically, but she's completely unrecognizable. She's that good. Her performances are that different.
That's awesome. Wow. Just to see you guys coming from different worlds, but ending up in the same place, which is Axe Capital.
I know. Crazy.
we love seeing that. It feels so cool to be inside your offices there. Is the atmosphere really that much fun when you're all shooting? I mean, it looks like you're all having a blast.
Yeah, we are. We actually bonded a lot. There are about 6 or 7 of us who have been there from the beginning. If not the pilot, then episode 1, or I guess 2, however they're numbering it. I can't remember now. But there's a lot of camaraderie, and it was left to us to sort of behave in the background for a lot of the early scenes, and the basketball shooting, that section started off. It sort of sprung out of a waste paper basket shoot off that Dan Soder and I had a few episodes before that. So when we were trying to shoot the mayhem scene, they were trying to figure out what to do, and they were remembering that we'd sort of done that, And, it was a lot of, we have a lot of fun, and a couple times we've gotten together on Sundays to watch the episodes, just to hang out still.
Yeah, I was about to ask you guys, when you were filming, did you do any activities like that to build that camaraderie? I mean, obviously, probably not body strip shishi, but was there anything, you knew a few of the cast members, but meeting everybody and kind of creating that atmosphere?
Yeah, Ivan, who plays the Pouch, and I had done the pilot together, and Callispa Brewster was also in the pilot, and we got snowed out. We got there was I don't know if you remember a year ago, the Arctic Vortex. Oh, you guys are in California, aren't you?
That's right.
We do. We heard about it. We saw it on social media.
We saw it on TV, yeah.
We saw it on the social media.
We felt for you guys, totally.
We actually had to cancel a day of shooting, so we had a sort of a blizzard bonding. But the rest of us just bonded long days on the set, trying to entertain ourselves while we were in the background, while Wags was doing something interesting, So that's the bonding actually happened in the long van rides up to our set and on the set itself.
Awesome. I wanted to know, how did you get involved with the project? Like, when the script came across to you, how did that all go down? Because I know it's different for everyone.
Yeah, let's see. I initially auditioned for, if I remember correctly, the role of Danzig, the guy with the machine gun.
Uh-huh.
And then I was called in for, I got a positive response, but it was like, let's look at you for a different role. And it was this dollar bill character. And there was barely any description, and the pilot only had a couple lines, but it just felt like something that might develop. In the description, it said the cheapest man in America. And I was like, that's kind of dollar bill. Right. There's an opportunity here, And and it just built from there. And after the pilot did well, it took maybe a month or two before they said, we're going to have you in the next episode and hopefully beyond.
That is so cool.
Yeah, awesome.
So you came in for a different role, and they ultimately brought you back because they liked you and wanted to work you in a different way. Mm-hmm. That's so neat. Well, specifically about the show and your role within it, this week you got caught, trading on inside information.
I misunderstood, I think.
Well, so far we know that you love your credit card points, and you had a very funny tweet where you said it was double point day, so we can't blame you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as you see, when you're in these scenes and you're being this person, and you're screaming lawyer, lawyer, lawyer when you're walking out here, is your loyalty to no matter what happens to you, you're not going to say anything about what goes on at Axe and to protect your boss?
You'll have to watch the next episode.
I was trying to get a little bit
It's very well worded.
I thought we got you.
Yeah.
I think Dollar Bill is he doesn't like to be pushed around. Mm-hmm. He doesn't respond well to people telling him what to do. Mm-hmm. And then that force is met with the immovable force of Chuck Rhodes in the next episode, presumably. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's an exciting plot line to follow, and especially for you personally. Your dad was a congressman. You've grown up with these sort of political battles that are going back and forth. Do you sort of sympathize with Rhodes' character as a fan watching the show, knowing that he's trying to go after these people?
That's a great question. I hadn't even thought about that, but he is the golden boy. His father could have done what Chuck wants to do, the political aspirations perhaps that his father had. Maybe it's intimated in the show. Yeah, maybe if I had wanted to follow in the political footsteps, I suppose I would have chosen a path not dissimilar to what Chuck is doing. That's a great question. You got me thinking.
Well, we did your
that for season 2.
We will. We'll tell Brian that we want you to, explore that more. I saw the fun rivalry you guys were having on Twitter about the basketball shot game.
Oh, talking this trash about free throws. I don't.
Right.
We'll see.
And this is Brian Koppelman, the producer, showrunner
creator,
of the show,
right.
creator
Right.
of the show. Yeah, that.
Apparently, he actually did play basketball, possibly in college. I can't remember. Maybe it was just high school, but at a higher level than I did. But until we actually get on the court and he beats me, I'm still claiming to be the best free throw shooter on the set.
Nice.
Right. Well, if you guys can shoot that and then put it out on Twitter, I'd love to retweet that to everybody. You guys have other questions?
Yeah, actually, I did have a question for you because this is a very complicated show. Deals with very high level finance. I have some friends in the area. I am not well versed at all, but they very much so like the show and they like how accurate it is. Was there any sort of training or reading or any type of preparation that you guys did to going into the show, because it is so complicated and obviously you guys want to get things right as they are? Is that something you guys are either interested personally or had to do for the show?
I mean, I'm interested in the abstract. I know next to nothing about money and finance, but and I think a lot of the PMs and the traders on the floor are similar. But we had a great guy on set. First of all, Brian and David are great at explaining anything we ask about, and we also had a great guy on the set, a former trader, portfolio manager, finance guy named Turney Duff, who wrote a great book called The Buy Side. I don't know if you've seen that book at all, but it's about his life in that world. It's a great book. But he was on set quite a bit, and there were many times when I was like, "What am I saying now exactly?" When I'm saying lawyer.
Right.
Why can I get away with that? Or something as mundane as that, or literally, what does this line mean when I say? I'm trying to remember a line from the second episode, but unless you have a something or other, I'm not giving you jack.
Well,
Can I swear on this show?
Yeah,
go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Whatever that line was when I said, unless you give me a something, I'm not giving you jack shit. I'm not remembering the line now, but he had to explain to me what that meant. And there's an episode where we talk about compensation, and I was asking, well, is this a lot or is this a little amount? He gave perspective.
Right.
So that was very helpful. And also, I do think that the writers do a great job of making this convoluted stuff pretty damn clear. They do a wonderful job. Heidi Schreck tonight was the lead writer, and she did a fabulous job. So they make it as clear as possible, and then people like Turney and Brian and David help us with the details.
That's awesome, and I really liked when you said if you don't have a Hondo Havlicek tonight. That was really,
I know, right?
That's one of those. It's a prime example of.
That was good. Now I know Hondo Havlicek. I'm old enough to have seen John Havlicek, I shouldn't actually admit that, but I've seen clips of him play, but that's great too. That stuff that's really fun. I do think that they need some more Portland Trailblazers references, Damian Lillard references, but that's for next season.
Kelly is a big Portland Trailblazers fan. We should tell all the listeners. Though he's based in New York, he was born in Oregon, so seems to be a lifelong.
Yeah, exactly.
fan.
Those colors don't run clearly.
He's got the t-shirt on.
Booyah!
Oh, he's got the shirt on. He's got an old school Trailblazer shirt on.
Old
right
school.
There.
We're talking Bill Walton.
Well, one final.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I know this is totally off point.
Oh no!
Look,
Oh, he's got the Sports
I love
Illustrated
it.
cover with the Blazers.
Bill Walton.
Nice.
Autographed. That's fantastic.
Hardcore. Yeah.
This is great. I love this. This is awesome. Go ahead, Alina.
I got one question for you. So now that you've done all of this research, obviously for the character, and you know a lot more about the whole financial world, if you weren't an actor, would you be doing what your character is doing now? Could you see yourself doing that?
That's a great question. Yeah, why not? Yes, I'd probably put my toe in a couple times, make a little bit of money, and be so happy because that was beyond anything that an actor ever makes, and then I could get out really quickly. I probably wouldn't be a lifer.
Fair enough.
Just make that money and go.
One other aspect about tonight's episode I thought was really cool, and as we were watching, I paused it and pointed out to JB and Alina. I said, Neil LaBute is directing this episode.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So tell us about that.
He's great. He's fantastic. I've been such and I've done at base, I'm a theater actor here in New York, and Neil writes and directs some of the most amazing plays that you'll ever see. Some fantastic pieces over the past 10 years or more. It was great. He was so easy, and he's so unlike what you might think if all you know are his, especially early plays. The hard plays with a lot of misogynistic characters potentially, right. And he's a sweetheart. He's like this big teddy bear. But he was great. It was really fun to work with him.
And I've heard that for a long time too. Theater that Neil LaBute is not a writer for women, and that but in this episode we saw Lara and Wendy both being integral parts about what's going on, and I felt like the way he directed those scenes was very, very subtle and deft, and only enhanced the characters. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. And Heidi Schreck wrote the script, and but there's obviously a collaboration between the two of them and the actors themselves. But yeah, this was a great episode for those two women, the shallow reading of Neil LaBute might lead you to think that would be surprising. But it's a great episode.
Yeah,
for them.
I agree.
One final question for you: if you could be, out of all the episodes we've seen so far, if you could be in one scene that was not your character and you could be someone else, which one would that be, and who would you be in it?
I would be in the scene that we didn't shoot that was written, which was in the strip club at the Body Sushi place.
Nice. Good call.
Anyone in that scene. I don't know. I don't think this is giving it away, anything away, because it wasn't shot. But I was gonna tackle a bouncer.
That's amazing!
Oh, wow,
this would have been incredible.
Yes.
So I would have been me in that scene. Yeah, there we go. No, there's so many great scenes, right?
That's awesome.
Maybe something between Wags and Bobby during that scene where he's like, just tell me what's going on, and he shuts him down. That was so beautiful. David Costabile and Damian Lewis, that scene. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I know we've stolen so much of your birthday already.
Yes, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. To all our listeners, you can follow Kelly on Twitter. He's at Kelly AuCoin 77. And Kelly, if there's anything else you want our listeners to know about what you're working on and what you got coming up, we'd be happy to hear that.
The Wizard of Lies comes out, HBO. It's going to be coming out probably sometime this summer, hopefully. And look for The Americans Season 4 premiere on March 16th.
Awesome.
And thank you guys. I love your podcast. I've tuned in before, and I think you guys do a fantastic job. So
thank you.
Thank you. We so appreciate you listening and reaching out on Twitter, and to have you here has been so valuable to all our listeners. So thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kelly. All right. That's Kelly AuCoin, everybody. What a great...
Nice. Yeah, it was awesome having him on the show.
He had so much insight into what's going on. And I love the cutscene that he mentioned.
Man, that would have been a perfect scene. I wish they shot that. Season 2. Hopefully they go back.
Yeah, and there's going to be more from him next week, too. We saw, now he's going to be the one within Rhodes' office getting interrogated.
Right.
What do you think's coming?
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, what do you think's coming?
Can't wait to see that.
Oh, my goodness.
First off, I thought it was a great little insight that he gave for his character, because I was kind of wondering, like, Dollar Bill, like, where that a little bit of origin story came in. I mean, obviously he's not like Bobby, where they'd have to go in so deep. But it was nice to realize that he got that name probably from being a little cheap. That's
right.
So that kind of gives a great perspective of where he's coming from and kind of his motivations behind everything, and how tightly he's going to stay, I think, probably towards Axe instead of giving himself up, because he is sort of it all lines up to being more loyal and more like true to that stuff at the core, rather than just being easily swayed or bought.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think he's going to stay loyal all the way to Axe. Just coming from being cheap, he likes his job, he wants to keep it. You can tell that there's some loyalty. I mean, they gave each other that look.
I was just going to say.
That look, we all know that look.
The nod.
The look, exactly. And I think that says a lot. I mean, those people that work for Bobby are very, very loyal. And I cannot wait to see the interrogation scene.
Yes.
I know.
I cannot wait to see that. And I loved getting the whole backstory this episode of, exactly how the insider trading went down, and they actually went to Iowa and they found the farmer, and that was great.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And JB, like you've been talking about before, there's a lot of exotic language in this show, financial, in the financial world, and so to see the source of the information, how it was pulled, and it's not dumbed down for us. It's shown to us in a way that is smart, that I thought was really interesting and helped me to understand what was going on.
Absolutely. No, I really like how they do that, and they don't dumb it down. Like I really appreciate and respect the show for doing that and making sort of the viewing audience rise to that level to really understand it.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that, as I said, I just spoke with a friend who's in the finance world, and he was saying that like it is sort of a buzzy show with that world, and they are really responding well. So I'm happier knowing that than having it more spoon fed to me. I would hate that if it was so simple.
I mean, for me at the beginning of the series, I was like, oh my goodness, is this going to be so much that I can't comprehend? But like you guys have said, they really, the way that they lay everything out and just the wording of everything, it makes you rise to the occasion.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that.
Yeah,
I love that about
I've looked up terms on my own after watching an episode of this, like, what does that mean, and
it makes you educate yourself.
It does, and like, I have a very small IRA, so it's like, okay, maybe I should think about these other things, to invest in. But it was really cool to see this whole Iowa experience. And then one thing that I definitely want to touch on is Rhodes going to the sex club.
Yes.
And,
God.
I told you it was coming.
You did? You predicted this. Alina Vission with the foresight to know that this was coming. But he calls his wife. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Maggie Siff had a great... she did another interview with the Daily Beast. This was written by Matt Wilstein. She talks a lot about their marriage, and what she said was just specifically about the BDSM is that she loves Paul Giamatti so much as a human being, and we bonded very quickly because we had to shoot these scenes without knowing each other particularly well. So we're both sort of struggling with our own anxieties and insecurities, and they're both pretty different. I think we kind of help each other along, but it's always a weird thing when you just met somebody and you're like, now I'm going to pee on you and put a cigarette out on your chest.
That is true. I can imagine that would be
unless
a bit
that's
strange.
your line of work, then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one there. But we saw a lot from her, and they bonded over the phone over the fact that he's in the sex club, which I thought was interesting. Did you think it was interesting?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that he called, and it seems to be something, obviously, that he's done before in the past, and he can't control himself.
Yeah.
So that's like his thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I love the fact that she's okay with it. She's like, okay, that's what, and they kind of have this weird bond thing together. Yeah, and they do it together, even though she's not there. She's like, take me in with you. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it was interesting to see her sort of push him in that direction because he said that he was losing control and he didn't really know what to do, and it kind of was the exact opposite I would expect from a wife, to encourage that kind of behavior. I mean, it ended up working out. I guess she has insane foresight being such a like psychologist, but she was able to, allow that but remain in control. It was a really interesting dynamic. Like not even
She's
being there.
Always in control.
She is. She's in this dominant position, and she said further in this article that I wanted to write is that I think that's actually really healthy and an interesting component of their relationship. In some ways, they're real equals, even though there is the submissive dominant thing, like you were just saying, Alina. They really know each other, and they really need each other, and they have a really uncensored, unfiltered way of dealing with each other. It's really fun to explore that with a great actor like Paul. So your mindset is exactly with what she's saying out there.
It seems like a very healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Well, we want to take a quick time out, everyone. We are able to bring you these shows each week because of people like you supporting us. Remember to use that hashtag ABTV Billions out there. Review us online on iTunes, and then also be sure to support our sponsors. Our sponsor this week is Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the food service. They deliver food to you, all the ingredients.
Delicious.
And, it's good. And so you can make these at home by yourself. Not only do you feel like you know your way around a kitchen, but cooking at home means eating healthier and saving money instead of ordering expensive takeout.
And saving time, so they deliver it right to your door.
Right to your door.
And just cook it up.
It's great.
I'm going to get my husband on this.
That'd be great.
If you're watching out there.
We'll be sending him this link to today's show. But Blue Apron has you covered for less than $10 per meal. Blue Apron delivers all the fresh ingredients you need to create home-cooked meals. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. Each meal can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. There's no overwhelming trips to the grocery store, no more sad takeout like we talked about. And they have great recipes. There's sweet and sour fish with stir-fried rice. There's a bunch of them here. There's roasted butternut squash with stewed white beans, gremolata and Brussels sprouts, and you can make this all in your own kitchen. It's
Love
cool.
it.
Awesome. And then you don't forget anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to run to the store.
Yeah.
So you can cook with the ingredients you've never used before without going to the store. The recipes are between 500 and 700 calories per portion. So they're delicious and good for you. And right now, you can get your first 2 meals for free at blueapron.com/podcast. That's blueapron.com/podcast. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. And we saw kind of the food eating contest in the Axe Capitol room. It was actually a competitive eater who got cast in that role to eat all of those.
Was it
those
donuts
treats.
Was it
sweet
the treats that he had bought into?
It could be.
Oh yeah, like the Yum Time.
Yum Time. Yeah, I think it could be. I tried to look that up. There was a tweet earlier. That's how I found out about that. I think Kelly was tweeting that he was a competitive eater.
I was going to say.
He had the water.
And we should have asked him about that.
We should have. We forgot on that one, but he said that the actor who played that role actually competed in the hot dog eating contest.
Oh,
right.
So he had the little glass of water and was like stuffing his face with.
Yeah, I saw that. That was like
instead.
It was crazy.
Interesting. So back to the episode breakdown. Bobby, we were left last week with a cliffhanger that he may not continue on in the hedge fund world.
Yeah, he was shutting down.
But the end of the episode, he kind of says it was both. It was a decision on his part to take a step back, but ultimately it worked out perfectly. Did you really think that he was serious about it, Alina, or did you just know all along that this is just some sort of play?
I knew it was some sort of play because, like he said at the end, that's what he does. That's what he loves. There was no way he was just going to give it all up. I mean, it sounded great to him for a minute, like he said, but there's no way he was going to give it up. I think he got information from Constantine. Was that his name?
Yes.
Right, that all was going to go down. I initially had thought that he had gotten information that the FBI was going to come, that had something on him and was going to come in on him, and that's why he'd take off. But it turns out that wasn't it, because we see at the end of the episode that the FBI shows up and he is shocked. Very, very shocked.
Yes.
But yeah, I never thought that he'd leave, not for a second.
JB, did you think he was going to leave?
I did a little bit. I mean, I wasn't like betting everything on one scenario, but I kind of liked how it unfolded. I was, with everything and a guy like that, you kind of expect that they're so calculated that everything in their entire life is mapped out like from the get-go. But it was kind of nice to see that it was a mix of him being spontaneous and him actually having a plan. Like he was very aware of everything that was going on that we've talked about, that he needs to be, and that's sort of his like superpower. But it was interesting that he was also figuring it out for himself. Like at the time, he's really present in that moment until he basically got to the boat and was like, well, am I going to do this? And then he made a decision in the moment. He made like a game time decision. So it's cool to see that both is happening. He's very well informed, so he does have a plan, but it's not so calculated where nothing can be changed and he can't be who he is.
Yeah, I agree with JB, my A+ team member.
Yes, exactly.
The A team is only at half strength this week. But I agree with JB because about the boat. They were getting the new boat, and Bobby was going to sail to the Galapagos with his kids to go look at an ancient turtle. That's what the kids wanted to go see. I can't remember the exact name of the turtle, but it did create a bit of a rift between Lara and Bobby at first. There wasn't a communication thing going on between them when Bobby sort of sprung it on her. But it was interesting to see how they mended it. I think it showed the strength of the relationship.
Right. I mean, both couples in this show have a very strong relationship. I did see, kind of the rift between them.
Yeah.
For me, I felt like she knew maybe something was up because she had made some sort of comment like, well, this isn't how it's been done before. So I thought, okay, maybe she knows something's going to be going down, so they have to get out of there. But clearly in the end, it didn't go down. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Malin Ackerman, to your point, played things so subtly.
Right.
When she got hit with something like the surprise, like, wait, I have responsibilities too, Bobby. I have a restaurant to run. I have things to prepare for. So if you're going to do this thing where you're going to drop out on everyone, that doesn't mean I'm going along too.
Right. I was glad to see her take that role, that part.
Yeah.
Because, she has her own thing going on, and that's important to her.
Well, then, and I agree with you, and I like that she expressed it in a way that was mature, not like plaintive or whiny or naggy, because I think in an unskilled actress' hands, that could have happened. Like, oh, well, I have my thing. It could very poorly be handled. But I felt that she was,
did a good job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it was such a great way that they handled it. They didn't make her a weak character by backing down and just like giving in, like, oh, well, this is gonna suck, but I'm gonna do it because it's you. She really held her own. She gave legit reasons why that was, was something that they need to talk about. And then they talked it through, like as like two like power characters would. Which kind of leads me into some of the YouTube comments that were said last week. Coughed 209 was kind of talking about how there is a great dichotomy between the two, Paul Giamatti's character, Damian Lewis's character, and their wives. Like, there is obviously that saying, behind every strong man is an even stronger woman.
That's right.
And I think that that's really true, and they show that it is. There are two sort of power couples, and they can't, without each other. I don't think they'd be able to do what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. We forgot to do social media shout-outs because we were excited about having Kelly on. So let's move into that right now. Hashtag ABTV Billions out there. JB with a great user comment already with YouTube. Did you see anything else?
Yeah, actually, there was one more I wanted to mention. Richie B had a really interesting theory that he thinks that in the end, his wife Laura is going to be his undoing, and they're going to have a rift there. So they're very strong right now, but who knows? We still have a lot of episodes to go. So that's a very interesting twist.
Yeah, sure. Now Alina had Twitter, so Alina, what's good on Twitter?
So we got Fred Mwangi.
There he is again.
Love it, and he said that we are pronouncing his name right.
Nice.
He sent us a tweet. So he said for the episode last week, he said Bobby can feel that something is off, and the company doesn't want to be there for what's next. What did Constantine tell him? So kind of what we were talking about before. And then he also said small things that he found amusing. One, Wag's mustache is growing.
Yeah, he's getting some
right?
wax in
Yeah.
there. He's
getting the
curling it up.
curly-
Getting
the
a little
curls at
curl.
the end.
Yeah.
Really cute. And then 2, Laura's perfect hair and makeup while sleeping. You know, when Bobby calls her from the... I thought that too. I was like,
Yeah.
she looks really good for being like asleep.
Yes, yeah, that is
Yeah,
very true.
yeah.
No one's ever super tired on this show. Like,
Right.
they wake up and they're instantly awake.
Perfect, yeah.
and ready to go. It's like, where's the like laziness and hitting the snooze button like the rest of us?
Exactly. Not when
what
you're
else?
making billions.
Yeah.
The rest of them are actually for this show.
Okay, let's hear them.
You want to hear them? Okay. So we had Denise, who is at NVGhost005. She said, she had a really, okay. Boy, I see a lot of 9/11 references all over the place in pictures and posters. Didn't notice
Great
that, but now
point.
I'm going to be looking for that.
You know what? I believe her.
Subtlety,
believe it.
totally, yeah.
subtlety.
Because I remember watching Breaking Bad, and they like put little like of the like square boxes in episodes just to like give us eagle-eye watchers a little bit of something. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good find. I'm not surprised
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
There was so many references all over the place. Obviously, you know, we had Axe watching Citizen Kane. There's a bunch of stuff like that in the script. Wags saying he's entering Xanadu when he
Right.
comes to visit him was a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. And this show is rewarding us for tuning
Right.
in week after week and picking up on the subtlety, which I thought was really good. Speaking of marital tension, we had a little bit of tension between Wendy and Chuck. So Wendy decides kind of randomly to go to a show, sneak in second act, but the point before them, which was really getting on Chuck's nerves, was that she went to Bobby's house. And part of me thought, well, is that such a bad thing? I mean, she works for him. She's going to see him. So why is Chuck so concerned about that? Did that ring true or false for either of you?
I think he was concerned about it because before, during the day, when he called her, she said, oh, nothing, nothing's up. She's just
see.
at work.
Yeah.
When she knew kind of clearly what was going on, that
Right.
Axe wasn't there.
He was totally digging.
Right,
for
exactly,
info.
exactly. He was digging for info. She picked it up, and I think he's starting to get to that point where he knows it's a conflict of interest, and he just doesn't know how to deal with it, exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that when she went over to Bobby's house and they were alone, I couldn't tell whether it was like a trust thing or I don't know, but he obviously is not happy about it.
Yeah, I think part of it is what JB said, is that he was digging, and
Right.
the other part was that I do think she was protecting Bobby in a way. Did you think that too?
Yeah, no, I mean, she's very loyal to Bobby and her job. I mean, she loves what she does.
Yeah.
She makes a good amount of money doing
Sure.
it. And I think it's a combination of things. I think that Chuck is really scrambling to get this done. He's never lost a case, so he wants to really dive in and just get Axe, especially after everything he's done to his dad. But, there's also the fact that he's sort of setting up the scene of the crime at Bobby's house, and his wife is walking in.
Yeah.
Not a good
So,
look.
He's got surveillance happening. Like, the evidence is sort of piling up there as they build their case, and right now it's very clear that his wife is on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really interesting.
And Brian keeps talking about recusal
Right.
over and
Yeah.
over again. Like, you need to recuse yourself. You need to recuse yourself. And I think, if that's foreshadowing, if that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is.
Right.
Because it's becoming very clear that they're reaching a point where Chuck realizes
Yeah, no,
his
it's do
wife's
or
at
die
that
time,
house,
right.
so I'm
Yeah.
going to send all my guys in now while she's not there.
Yeah.
That was the point of that. So, it's getting to crunch time here, and I actually read in that same Maggie Siff article, she said there is a mid-season climax coming.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
And if you've noticed, there was a big scene between Chuck and, you know what? I'm going to save my prediction for later because I was about to go into my prediction, so I'm going to save it because I've got an idea of what's
Okay.
coming. But let's stick with Brian. I want to talk about Brian, and we've got Terry and Kate.
Yeah.
A developing love triangle,
Ooh,
I think.
it seems.
I think
the
so, too.
The
I see
future Madame POTUS.
I love that. I love her character. I love that she's so ambitious
Yeah.
and she knows where she's going and she set her goals. And even I think that's what he likes about her. I think
Right.
that's what Brian likes about her.
Yeah, I like how they took control of that in the storyline. We talked about it early on about how awesome she was, such a rock star,
Right.
what she was doing in her job, and it really skyrocketed. I mean, to see that they're really realizing that in the show is cool.
Yeah, and Condola Rashad plays Kate and does such a great job with. She has these big, like, beautiful eyes that you can just look into and see her soul, and she's awesome at it. We'll try and get her on the show next. She'll be our next target to try and bring her on, a favorite of ours here. But I thought it was interesting that Brian goes upstairs with Terry and then comes back down at the end of the night to have a drink with her.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I thought that was like, he's making a kind of a play for her in a way. No?
A little bit. I mean, to me, it was just showing that they are way more similar, sort of emotionally and intellectually. They're better matched. You know, he would rather have the pillow talk, if you can call it that, with her at the end of the night than with someone he's actually sleeping with.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a deeper connection with them than there is with Terry, with Brian and Terry. And I think he's realizing that as well. And Kate is realizing that too. Like, she knows what she's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Completely.
Oh,
Girl
100%.
knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she's blatantly like setting that rift
is.
apart because, you know, she got him to admit like what was happening. He was like, "Oh, no, it's casual. We were trying to play it cool."
Right.
And then like a second later, Terry comes down and she's like, Are you ready to go?"
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
just
go
like
upstairs.
gets the
bit
gets the whip
obvious
out.
from Terry.
Yeah.
She- right? Like, right in front of your associate? Like, you're really going to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bit obvious, but Kate was too when she looks at him and goes, "I heard you were really good in bed."
Yeah, just
Just like that.
Yeah.
all right.
Is that something you say to your boss? I don't understand. Are they boss? Like, he's the boss, she's like the associate, or are they on the same level? I think
I think he trained her, but
Right.
I think Chuck is their boss, so
Yeah.
like maybe he can give her assignments, but she doesn't directly report to him.
Okay, because that was the only thing I felt would be awkward about her guaranteeing his apartment. Which, by the way, how do you not have money for an apartment? I get that New York is expensive.
Well, he said that he needed a year's worth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he said. He
pay
was
up
like,
front?
"Who has a year's worth of rent?"
I know.
That's a lot.
You're gonna cough up 24 grand just like that?
Exactly.
Well, that would be in LA.
That's in LA. That's not New York. Yeah.
In Manhattan, you're paying probably something crazy. I mean, more than that, $3,000, $4,000 a month for a one bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's insane
Studio.
town
Yeah.
over there. Yeah, I have a friend who makes a lot of money, and he has a little studio.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. This is
So
how
LA
it is
isn't
in
so
Manhattan.
bad.
LA is not so bad if you find the right areas. But the guarantee, an interesting aspect of their developing relationship. She makes a good point. It's just a signature. She's guaranteeing his lease, so only if he defaults will she be responsible for it. But she's kind of like tying herself to him a little bit.
Right.
What do you think's coming for them two?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I wasn't in a relationship with someone, if I'd want to tie myself to them, especially if you work with them.
Right.
And things can get hairy. I don't know. I don't know what her play is there.
That's a great point to think of. JB, did it feel the same way?
It's a little inappropriate in terms of being financially tied to someone you work with, but it's like the utmost trust. I mean, you don't enter into something like that with someone who's not family or like a insanely good friend.
That's a great point.
Unless you really know that they're going to back it up.
Right.
So I mean, it was a great scene where it was like they, have each other's backs, and it really does go that deep, but it could cause some massive problems.
yeah.
It could. There's. I mean, it's like buying a
Which
pet.
could be interesting.
Yes, I would love to see that.
Could be interesting.
It could be interesting.
Get real messy real quick.
It's like buying a dog with your girlfriend or your
Right.
boyfriend. Like,
Right.
if you break up, who gets the dog? It's
Yeah.
kind of a really sticky situation to
Right.
work out. But I think there's more coming for this triangle. I mean, there was a lot of chemistry between Kate and Brian as they're having their probably 4 a.m. drink in an Iowa bar after he just finishes up with Terry upstairs, But then I don't think Terry's going to let go all so easy.
Yeah, Terry looks like she's about to fight someone.
She's tough. She's a badass. I like her a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was interesting that Chuck mentioned, I think it was Chuck that mentioned to Brian, like, to stop screwing all the help. Because I guess it's sort of, it's got to be more of a reputation, more so than just Terry.
That was a great line.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't mean to step out of line. Well, how about you stop effing out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was so
And
good.
put back on force. Yeah.
Yeah.
A great episode. All right, well, let's move into the final segment, which is our predictions for the coming week.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
JB, you want to lead it off?
Yeah, I will start because there's something I noticed at the very end. You know, we got that sort of a bro, I got this look from Axe and Kelly's character, Dollar Bill. But then Axe looked at Brian. And there's something there. It was like it was so subtle that I have to rewatch to see sort of where I think that's going. But I'm wondering now that if Brian is leading things, Chuck maybe is taking a back seat a little bit, still involved, but maybe not the face of it. Will Axe try to appeal to Brian in some way? So I really want to see where that goes.
That's a great point, and I noticed that too at the end, but didn't think of it the way that you did. I thought that was really smart what you just said. You're right. Dollar Bill gives the nod. I'm going to take care of you. You don't need to worry about it. But then Bobby looks to Brian.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Maybe it was like sort of a come at me, bro, type of very high level thing. But I don't know. Maybe he's gonna sort of see like what do you have?
That's cool. Great point, Alina.
Yeah, I actually think the opposite. I think it was a come at me, bro.
Oh,
Okay.
all right,
Yeah,
all
totally. That's just what I saw from the look. Who knows? So now I think, especially because we don't get to see those two worlds collide. This is like kind of the first episode we see them really collide. And Brian's now in it. And I think that Bobby is totally going to try to find out information on Brian to bring him down.
That's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Those are good predictions. I'm going to play off of what you guys were saying before. I think the sex club thing is a problem for Chuck because it was something he couldn't control. Watching that scene made me realize this is the one thing he can't control. He has this sexual fire, you know, to be a part of these BDSM acts and be a part of these sex acts. He had this special, did you notice he had like a glow-in-the-dark stamp on his wrist, which is how he got let in?
Right.
Where did you get that? Or do you have like a special like pen where you stamp yourself before you go in?
Maybe at the door.
Maybe at the door.
Maybe at the
Could
door,
be.
or I mean, it could be more serious. They have
be like a white
tattoos that
tattoo.
are like
Yeah.
blacklight tattoos.
That's a
A
great
white
point.
tattoo.
It could be. That's a great one. Another great one. So I think this is going to cause him problems. I mean, who's to say someone's not going to take a picture of him being out in one of those clubs?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we've talked about that being sort of his undoing.
Yeah.
This addiction, and I think he's really playing with fire. I mean, he's doing surveillance on Axe. It's only logical that Axe would have some tricks up his sleeves too, and he just needs one photo of him in a sex club, and
That's gonna
it would
ruin
be
his
very
political
bad
career.
for his career.
Right.
That's exactly where I think this is going, and that I'm kind of cheating because I read the Maggie Siff article, which you all can read if you follow me on Twitter. She says there's a mid-season climax coming, which would be next week.
Yes,
this
climax.
was episode
Interesting
5.
choice of words.
This is right. Great choice of words.
Interesting.
This was episode 5. We got episode 6 next week, and so I think we haven't seen a Chuck and Bobby scene together in a while, and it's sort of been building to this point. You had Chuck Sr. and you have Brian going into the office, as you just said, but I think there's going to be a big confrontation coming between the two. And it could involve a picture of him being out in a sex club or some sort of information. But I think Chuck wants this one so bad that he's not going to recuse himself. As many times as Brian says it over and over again, he wants this one so bad and he's not going to let it go.
Yeah, it's personal for him.
Yes.
for sure.
Do you think he's going to ask his wife, Wendy, to quit?
I don't think so. I think having her there is a value to him, to Bobby, to kind of get her sense onto things. The way that Chuck called her and said, hey, anything different? What's going on there? And she kind of didn't give him anything. I think she will show the same courtesy to her husband if Bobby were to do the same thing.
Well, she's a very interesting character just because she can't easily be played. Like
Right.
I mean, she's a huge asset to Axe Corp, but as Chuck's wife, like she can see everything he's doing a mile away. She's like built for that. Like her career is sort of that whole manipulation thing and how people are playing each other.
Yeah.
So
do you think that'll either cause a rift between her and Bobby or her and Rhodes?
Well, yeah, that's a great question, and that's one that we're going to have to see. I think it will ultimately cause more problems for her at home because Chuck wants to be in a good position to make this prosecution happen and happen successfully. And if she's still there, or if she's not giving him information, or if something gets out about their sexual life, Chuck may look to her and say, how did people find out about this? This is only between me and you, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a truly compromising position. I mean, JB, what do you think?
I'm curious. I mean, there's no real good way for it to end. It's such a messy situation where it's kind of like an affair in a way. I mean, that's how I feel like it's got to play out in a similar fashion. Even though everybody knows where they stand, it's a triangle, 100%.
Yeah.
So there's really no other way than picking sides.
That's right.
To get out of it.
Well, we've got Team Max over here, Team Rhodes, at least still. But we'll see. A lot more fun to come next week. That's it. That's all for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next week, we'll be back right here. We have been JB Zimmerman.
Yes, you guys can find me at Hey John Blake.
And Alina Vission.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Alina Vission.
And I am Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you for taking some time out. Thank you to Kelly.
Yeah, happy birthday, Kelly.
Kelly AuCoin for coming in. Follow him on Twitter at Kelly AuCoin77. Go out and be blessed, and we'll see you back soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.